Alright, response video 2, 3 parts of Warbles crap. Anyway, some philosopher on the radio, so he just plays the radio. Simon Blackburn, some sort of lectures in Australia, whatever. Not terrible stuff, but same oldie. You know, a lot of name dropping, this is what philosophy is, and blah blah blah. And the question posed, is science enough? And I don't think the philosopher guy answered the question, and I certainly don't think Warbles has any clue. You know, his end remark is science is a method. Yeah, and but the point is that it's also gleans a whole lot of knowledge out of that method, and the knowledge is king. It's knowledge of essentially, you know, connecting this to Piro's mapping thing, which maps are interesting. And I was thinking of the concept of a map of reality, right? I mean, that's basically what your brain is attempting to create, is a map of reality. And you're of two brains. You're of your visceral, fast brain, and then you're of this understanding of the maze, this world you've created inside of yourself, this duplicate of reality. And that one works much slower. It takes it a while sometimes to make realizations. It takes it a while to think about stuff and implications and whatnot. But it's completely capable of creating visions that enable the beast in you to react viscerally. So you can make things very good or very bad. You can make something seem worth enduring because you can see a goal that isn't visible to your eyes, isn't visible to your immediate scope, but it is visible to your understanding that if I put in this effort, I can someday stand there with the gold medal, kind of thing. So I thought of the analogy of boxers. A lot of boxers use a technique where they'll turn the guy in the ring into some kind of malicious, like, this guy's going to rape my mother and, you know, barbecue my sister, and like turn him into the ultimate evil, make him into a monster to keep themselves, to give themselves eye of the tiger, to keep themselves in the game, you know, so no sense of humanity drips in, no yielding. No advantage isn't jumped upon and seized upon by any apprehensions, inhibitions created by their native structure, which might be, I like people. People are cool. I don't want to beat somebody up. So that might be their nature, in the sense of their civilization has turned them into that kind of person that just likes to have a beer with people. And they have to basically turn themselves into something that doesn't want to have no beer, that just wants to figure out how I can kill this thing as quick and as hard as possible. And that's what winning will require. And that's a technique they'll use to keep themselves, give themselves eye of the tiger, to give themselves the motivation to do what has to get done for them to get where they want to be, which is winner. Now, this gets, now as soon as a philosopher gets hold of this recognition of this is the mechanism, this is the game we're playing. You could look at most psychiatric diseases and you say, what's missing? Inhibition. What's missing? An understanding of the whole game. Okay, they're playing the game too short-sighted. You know, there's just nothing, the regular mechanism of thought control isn't in place. And so it's just body control. Reactions take over. Impulses own. Because they don't do any better than that. Even if they can think better than that, somehow there's a breakdown between, you know, their capacity to see the other person as the evil, and then somehow they just can't maintain it. It's like, you could imagine, you know, if you want to take the edge off Adolf Hitler, just imagine Adolf Hitler as your father, and he goes fishing with you, and, you know, you catch a big fish, and he says, oh, what a great catch, and you're so cool, and, you know, he's all being positive and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden you just start taking the edge off people. You can just take the edge off. You can put the edge on, you can take the edge off, and you can do it by changing what you see through your knowledge of a circumstance. So I mean, if you want to motivate yourself, you want to really appreciate a risk, just imagine the risk as being your own sister. So if you're a drunk and you have a habit of drinking and driving, maybe what you should imagine is your sister killed by a drunk driver, and then maybe you'll have a little bit of eye of the tiger when it comes time, when the moment happens. That vision will pop in front of you, and you'll take that key out of the car and say, fuck this. Okay, I don't want my sister dead. I want the other guy drinking to think exactly what I just thought, turn the damn key and take it the fuck out and get the hell out of the car. And this is what it is to be. I mean, there's a science to this. It's all determinism. And you have two kinds of evolution here. You have your biological evolution, which now is just really a mess, because now people don't even have to successfully raise their kids. All they have to do is produce a kid, and society will keep it alive. So now people don't even have to be even close to a competent parent. All they have to be is a competent producer of a baby, you know, barely competent, because we'll even they don't even have to have the baby full term, and we'll keep the damn thing alive. So I mean, we're biologically becoming shit. And the other thing evolving is understanding the map of reality, how the game is played, what are not only the map of the world, but the map of how you work this psychology, how you create Eye of the Tiger, how you game the animal that's inside of you, what the real deal is. How do I get myself to jump on the grenade? Because I know it's the right thing to do. Now, how do I make myself do it? And these are questions of understanding the psychology and understanding how to manipulate it. And you manipulate it by creating visions, like by creating your understanding and placing it on reality, getting it in your focus, sliding it in front of you. Okay, so you can see it. And that's all there is to this stupid thing. Is as soon as you, like, it's like my use of the word reincarnation. It's a mental tool. It's just a way of recognizing that I'm not the only thing in the universe, and that even if if I am so vain and selfish that I have to imagine something else as me to have empathy for it, well, here's a tool that I can use to make that happen. I can make it me by recognizing that in every important respect it's going to be me. You know, it won't have every single nuance. It won't have the same eye color or hair color. It might not be the same height, but it's going to have similar feelings and similar passions, and there's going to be a similar knowledge-based model. A similar vision is going to be seen by these future individuals. And so if I don't do anything to make their world better, then I'm basically just fucking anal probing myself. I'm basically just fucking myself in the future. So I have to see the future as myself. Maybe I have to do that because I'm such a vain motherfucker. And there's the tool I can use, a perfectly legitimate tool, to create the proper amount of emphasis. Because once you rationally understand that your welfare isn't important, more important than somebody else's, that you aren't some kind of super consciousness and the rest of the things are all dull half consciousnesses or quarter consciousnesses or 1% consciousnesses, as soon as you recognize that that's an irrational pile of shit, you're stuck with no other equation here. You're stuck with the fact that you're just a pawn, they're just pawns. It doesn't matter which pawns get abused. The only thing that matters is that pawns are abused. Again, this is the philosophy, this is the truth. There's no counter argument to this simple diagram. This is our reality. And you know, talking about all these dead philosophers is just such a waste of time, because they didn't first recognize the duality of our brain, which means there's the knowledge that's in our brain, and then there's the biological crap, the conditioning, the animal. I mean, you have to make this distinction. You have to make a distinction between what you know and what you feel. And they're not both intelligent vehicles. One of them's a lot more intelligent than the other. And you got to wait for that. You got to wait for your brain to work on things, because that's the way it's going to come out right. The first answer ain't going to be the right answer most of the time. You know, unless you've made your map, unless you're really familiar with your map, unless you've run the maze so many times in your brain that you can make it automatic. You can have a muscle memory of how to navigate it the right way, the trained way, the intelligent way. It becomes routine. Again, muscle memory. Alright, so again, it's just about this seeing thing. Seeing is such an important word. You see it. Okay? You see it. It's a map. You see it. You see how to navigate. You see where the things are that are important. You see the roads to those things. and you see the places that are just impossible, you can't get there from there, and you just recognize these basic ideas. They create an inhibition to your animal nature and an enhancement to its behavior. It's now trained by this knowledge of the map how to properly navigate the game. And that's all there is here. And as stated, both are deterministic. The evolution of your physiology and the evolution of your ideology. They're both evolving in the world. One is evolving into cockroach, shit. The other is on a clear linear path. The scrutiny is in place. It's not some sort of natural selection. It's not selection of convenience entirely. There is some of that. But it's a selection of scrutiny and consistency. Philosophers have to pass muster with the other philosophers. They can't get away with self-contradictions and other kinds of bullshit, not all the time anyway. And so there's this narrowing of that evolution. And the evolution of ideas ultimately, because it has enough scrutiny, it's not great scrutiny, but it's enough scrutiny, will inevitably go in a direction. And it'll inevitably be cleansed of bullshit. And that's the truth of it. Our knowledge is much better than our biology. Yeah, it's just a matter of putting it in front of people, putting this vision of the model in front of people and saying, look, this is how this model fits. This is how it explains your life. This is how it explains your psychology. And getting them to understand that you don't need voodoo, you don't need gods, you don't need spirituality, you don't need singularities, you don't need special universes, you don't need any of this crap to understand that this is how you were formed. And this is what you're capable of. And some of it is magnificent. And some of it is absolute crap. And unfortunately, the part that's fun is crap. Okay, it just is. And the really important shit is the shit that can actually understand. And even if what it's understanding is futility and waste, it's still magnificent that it's able to do that. And it's certainly a great thing to be able to have the, to be honored, to have the honor of not being trapped, of not being gamed by the game, to have the honor of being able to see the game and to play the game right when everything else is being funneled and penned and led into the cage and led into the slaughterhouse and led everywhere. Now you can see it, and you can choose it, so to speak, in a deterministic manner. Yeah. So really philosophy is just about coming up with this accurate model of reality, this accurate description of it, and create this accurate vision. And I'm claiming it's an accurate vision for you to recognize that even people you hate have a capacity to feel. They have a capacity to be harmed. And if there's nothing that's going to change their character in them having a bad day, then there's no value in them having a bad day. No more value than your sister having a bad day, or your brother, or your mother, or your father, or whatever you care about. A bad day is the enemy. It doesn't matter who is having it. Yeah, so I don't know if I need to beat this to death. I did emphasize certain notes. Seeing inhibition. I mean, that's a really important one. I mean, it's the seeing thing, and then what does the seeing do? It inhibits your animal. It controls your animal. It gives your animal context. Another huge word. Informed knowledge base. And all that does is give you context. It gives you ability to see what's really happening. And to get over your conditioned nature, which is some silly, the ego crap and the, advantage crap. And the crap, the vanity crap, the crap that has no real substance, that has no real integrity. Yes, it's the food of life. Yes, it's what you feed on. But it has to be, you have to let the better part of you control how it feeds. You have to feed it. you can't let it loose to feed on the world, because it'll do it inefficiently. It'll do it selfishly and sloppily. And that's what it really is to become intelligent. It's merely to have the capacity to train your monster, to train your animal. But again, this is just a huge distinction. People got to recognize this distinction between psychology and philosophy or knowledge. Knowledge and biology are not the same thing. You know, one is a dumb critter, and one is an intelligent entity. Something like that, anyway. So anyway, probably enough. So that's my response. You know, I don't think the, you know, I know what to say. The guy's an interesting talker, but he didn't really say anything. You know, sorry. It was just kind of blah 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 blah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's another example I put down here is to, you know, if you have knowledge, if you're not living as the selfish animal, then yeah, you're denied a lot of these motivational tools also. The very thing that, you know, if it's necessary for you to have eye of the tiger, you can see a circumstance where it's necessary. I'm in war. I have to motivate myself to kill the other guy. I got to make him into a monster. So you do it. There's other circumstances where you don't need to be in a war. You're deciding whether there should be a war. And then maybe then you should be thinking exactly the opposite kind of tools you should be applying. Maybe when you're striving for your gold medal, you should contemplate the fact that if I win, then somebody else isn't going to win. So somebody else who would have had a good day isn't going to have a good day, because I'm going to take his place. And what am I going to do? I'm just going to create losers by winning. I mean, that's a fact of winning, is that you create losers. And maybe that should tell you something. That maybe you don't want to be competing against yourself. You don't want to be competing against your own kind. Why would you, if there was all you, if let's say there's 10 competitors in the event, and they're all versions of you, how could you feel good about winning? You just made 9 of you losers. you know, why would you do that? Wouldn't you be smart enough to say, let's play a game where we can all win? Let's maybe all go cure cancer or something. Let's go do something productive, instead of wasting our time trying to beat each other down so we can play little superiority dances for 10 seconds over our own grave. Why would we want to dance on our own fucking grave? And if you're an intelligent human being, you understand that's the reality. That's the world you're playing in. You're not playing in a world full of thems. You're playing in a world full of yous. And if you don't get that, you're just not going to get how important it is that you have no rights to be fucking with them. You have no right to recklessly produce them. And you have no right to say, I'll let some asshole have a baby for no goddamn good reason that they can't finance, they can't take care of. If you knew that was you, you'd say, God damn it, don't do that to me. You know, you fuck. You can't do better than that. So think of the world as you, and then you'll think about the world differently. Anyway, that's my lecture, fuckers.